So let's talk tonight about the nature of illusion. So illusion just means we believe something's true and then we find out that it's not really, right? It's like when we have a dream at night. We wake up in the morning and as real as that dream seemed when it was happening, we didn't question the reality of it unless we were lucid dreaming. But otherwise, we never question the reality of it. It feels as real in the moment of dream at night as it does during the so-called waking consciousness during the day. And so we may, during our dream at night, dream that our house burned down. And then we wake up and realize that it didn't. Once we realize that it didn't burn down, we don't have to call the insurance company, right? We just see, oh, it was a dream. I thought it was true at the time, but I find out, just by coming to, let's say, a little deeper level of awareness, that it was just a dream. It's not actually the case. So, there's lots of things in our life that are like that. When we go to the movies, we sort of unconsciously agree to be subject to an illusion. Right? The projector is streaming patterns of light on a screen. If we ever stop to think about it, we would know that that's not actually reality. It's just little spots of light on a otherwise blank screen. But we sort of willingly let go of our discretion and allow the illusion to be. If we don't enjoy the movie. So we in order to enjoy the movie, we have to let go of our discretion to that extent and then just become involved in the storyline as if it were true. So we sort of voluntarily engage in the illusion. Right? At the end of the movie, we know that it was a movie. I mean, it could be just a violent Western shoot 'em up movie, but at the end of the movie, we don't have to clean the TV screen. It's just the end of the light show, right? So let's see a few more quick examples. If we're out in the desert and we're thirsty and in the distance there's a mirage of a lake, we may be convinced if we're thirsty enough that there's indeed a lake there and water's within reach. And but upon getting closer, we see that it was just a mirage. It was illusionary. I thought it was this, but it turned out to be something different. So we're all familiar with the way illusions might appear, and these are ones that are easy to see. The trickier one, actually a very tricky one, is to see that this appearance that we all are quite convinced that we are, at least for a long time, that what I am is this separate body-mind organism, that I'm here, I was born, I'm here, I am this body-mind, and I exist within an objective external world, and I go about my business every day and sort of hunt and gather and make friends and go to work and try to find a little pleasure along the way. And that's my life. So when we take ourselves to be this body mind, being anxious is natural. right? I mean, we know whether we consciously think about it day to day is that these bodies are vulnerable. They're physically vulnerable. They're psychologically vulnerable. We're subject to lots of other people, lots of other situations that can cause us hurt. So as long as we take ourselves to be this form, this body and this mind, this structure, this organism, encased within the skin, then there's always a sense of vulnerability. And then, of course, there's aging and death and, sort of more terminal vulnerabilities. But along the way, there's also plenty of opportunities to be hurt, both physically, sickness, accidents, difficult situations, divorces, deaths in the family, loss of a career, loss of mental or physical abilities. I mean, there's lots of things that are very difficult. So when we talk about sort of the fundamental illusion, this one is particularly hard to see because we've always taken ourselves to be this, except for the first year or so of our life. We didn't do that. We didn't identify as being separate from the rest of existence. We're present, fully conscious, experiencing what the body can experience. We could see, we could hear, we could feel. We just didn't have the words to conceptualize it. And so we weren't applying a mental overlay to whatever it was that was happening. It was just pure experience, much like we were doing in the original meditation, where we're just experiencing directly the sensation without needing the mind to interject its analysis, its preferences, its descriptions, naming things, wishing things were different. So, but as we begin to look more closely, much like when we, just look at the mirage in the desert, and as we get closer and look at it with great interest, if we're really thirsty enough, and see that, well, actually, that's not going to quench my thirst. This appearance that seems so convincing that this is what I am, a separate entity. I can look down, I can see it, I can touch it, I can feel it from the outside, I can feel it from the inside. It appears very real. And yet, when we step back into our innate awareness, the only way that we know that we even have a body is it's an appearance within awareness. For the very reason that it's so convincing, we can touch it, we can look at it, we can feel it. All true. But all of those sensations appear and only appear within this field of awareness. Without the awareness, we wouldn't know if there was a body there or not. We wouldn't know if there was a mind there or not. We wouldn't know there was a cushion that we were sitting on or not. So when we begin really to investigate, we can see that this capacity that we all have, where we don't have to create it, fortunately, but we can recognize it. And the recognition is that it is fundamental. The fundamental way we exist. And within that field of awareness, we, because of, we're not denying the presence of this body or this mind, but recognizing that the only way that we experience the body and the mind is as awareness, appearance within awareness. We took ourselves to be a separate form, but what we discover upon deep inquiry is that there's a relative sense to it, much like the appearance of a mirage in the desert. The image is real. We do actually see the image, but we misinterpret it. It looks like water, but it's not. And just like the body, it appears to be separate, but it's not. It's an amazing organism, but it is an appearance within this awareness. The awareness is fundamental. And when we begin to sense into the awareness itself, much like we did very quickly in the introductory meditation, we find that there is no boundary to it. It's not a personal awareness. It's amazing enough that there's even one awareness. This one totally mysterious, familiar, but totally mysterious capacity to just be present for whatever's happening, moment to moment, right? Here, now, presence. It's actually how we live our whole life already. We just attribute it to the illusion, me. I know what's living this life, me. But when we really go to looking, we can see that that sense of separate individual entity, we really look for it. We can't find it. We can find thoughts and hopes and dreams and fears and memories and storyline and what we're good at and who we like, and we can find all of that. We just can't find a personal self in any of it. But what we can find is what we truly are when we say I, the pronoun that we use every day, hundreds of times. I did this, I think that. I is the sense of presence, awareness, aliveness. And the mind will have preferences, the mind will have ambitions and desires and hopes and dreams and fears. And this awareness is what is present for all of that. Not judging it, not scolding us if we do something that that hurts. Just present for. So the invitation is really to really ponder the possibility. Please don't take this on as a philosophy or a belief. Just explore the possibility that perhaps what I am is this formless, spacious presence. Even while the mind is doing whatever it's doing, even while it's thinking that it needs to improve itself or fix something or change its habits or change its diet or change its philosophy or whatever, the awareness is present for that entire struggle. So if we really get this, we can see that um, we can lay down our arms. We can end the war of me versus everything else, and the war of me versus what I think I should be, me versus what other people tell me I should be. And we just come back to life goes on, and we're left without all the shoulds and shouldn'ts and rights and wrongs, and we're just left to our innate intelligence. Which is surprisingly intelligent. It's our mind that confuses things. The mind that's been thoroughly conditioned over the course of a lifetime and to believe things that aren't true. And so a large part of spirituality is unbelieving what's untrue. It's not so much believing about what is true. What's true is what's true. We don't have to, and it actually doesn't help to believe in it either. Belief just means we don't know. Much better to investigate and find out for ourselves what's true. And the good news is what's true can't be gained, and it can't be lost, and it can't be given, and it can't be taken away. It's what we are. So whatever beliefs, opinions, ideas about how all this works and who I am and how I'm limited, we can just see if that's really true, and to really, if it's really worthwhile hanging on to those beliefs and opinions, or whether we can discover that what we truly are is already free of that. Free of, in spirituality, freedom means freedom from the illusionary belief in a personal separate self. That's what we come to. We don't improve our way there. We don't figure our way out. We just see that it was never true in the first place. It's like seeing a black hose in the garden and taking it for a snake. Once you see it's a hose, you don't have to try to get rid of the image of a snake, right? It's just, you just see that it was never true. We just thought it was. So all that's really required is not, we don't have to get rid of a personal self. We don't have to get rid of ego. We can just see that it's not actually true. Yes, I mean, sure, there's storylines and memories and hopes and fears and opinions, and all of that is true. It's just not absolutely true. It's not fundamentally what we are. All of that is appearing temporarily, coming and going, usually very quickly within the field of awareness that we truly are. And that field is singular, one awareness, functioning through manifesting as in all of these forms. So when we can come back to that and learn to live from that, as that, it's not something that we'll ever understand or know or be able to explain even, but we can become familiar with it just by being willing to come back to that often as possible. to the point where we never could doubt its absence.